Hey guys, so today's video is my top 5 face brushes, and if you're wondering about the slightly bright makeup then you obviously haven't watched my previous video, so if you want to know more about the makeup then go back to last week's video and you can find out all about that. Today I'm going to be talking about my top 5 face brushes, and I've already done a favourite brushes video but it was very long and I had a lot of brushes, and I thought this would be a good way just to get out my top 5 so you guys know my must-haves. And if you're really wanting to buy brushes then you don't have to buy like a billion. I'm going to show you like the first 5 brushes I would buy if I could go back to when I first started doing makeup. That way you're also not wasting lots of money buying all these different brushes. So we're going to jump straight into the video and I'm going to go in order from what I put on my face. So starting out with a foundation brush, and it's actually this one, and you may be thinking, what? That is not a foundation brush. No, it's by all means not a foundation brush, it's actually a contour brush, but I hate to use it for that and I absolutely love applying my foundation with it. So it's the Real Techniques number 301 from the Bold Metals collection, and it's gorgeous and rose gold, and I love it to apply my foundation because it's very soft and it leaves a very nice airbrushed finish and it blends out your foundation like a dream. I haven't got anything else like this texture that I feel like I could use for my foundation in my brush collection, and this somehow just does the job perfectly. I feel like I've said it in a few videos now, but it reminds me of the Smith 115 brush that Jamie, Genevieve and Samantha use here on YouTube. This is another option if you don't want to buy that Smith brush, because the Smith brush is very expensive. This one is quite pricey, but if you buy the knockoff sets of these from eBay, which I actually did, they are still absolutely fine to use and you get to use all the brushes in the collection as well as this one. I'm going to skip under eye concealer because I would use a sponge for that generally, and I don't really have a favourite brush for doing that at the minute. So I'm going to talk about setting the under eye concealer because that's something I love to do, and for that I use the Morphe M438. I am in love with this brush. I think Sigma have a similar one, but this is the one that I have. My Morphe sign has rubbed off, but I put tape around the number so I wouldn't forget what number it was. This has a gorgeous taper so it fits nicely under the eye, and it's great for packing on the powder if you want to bake under there, or sweeping that powder off and just lightly setting it if that's what you're wanting to do. And this brush is also very nice and soft, so it applies the powder in a very smooth way so you get a nice airbrush finish. And I also know that Jaclyn Hill loves this brush too, and probably a lot of other YouTubers. So it's not just me, you definitely want to get your hands on this brush because it is great for under the eyes, or if you don't want to use it under the eyes, it's also great for highlighting or maybe even contouring. I know Nicole Guerriero, or however you say her last name, I've got no idea. She uses a brush similar to this shape to contour and bronze, so it could also be good for that. So next, going on to bronzer. I don't normally contour on a daily basis, so I don't really have a favourite contour brush, but I do have a favourite bronzer brush. And this brush right here is from the Vintage Cosmetic Company, and if you Google them you'll find them straight away, and this is their blusher brush, but I love it for bronzer. I love it because it's so flexible and it's not too dense, so you can apply your bronzer, you can layer it on with this brush, but it's also great to blend it out so you don't look chalky or patchy up in this area or something. It, I find, blends out my bronzer really nicely, and the flexibility just means that it will sit really nicely into your cheek hollows and go around the shape of your face very nicely and easily. And yeah, I've been loving this brush for bronzer ever since I got it. Number 4 is a blusher brush, and this one is from Real Techniques. I'm not sure which collection it is anymore because all the writing has rubbed off the brush, but I think it is a blusher brush anyway, and that's what I use it for. I find it gives a very nice soft touch of blusher because it is a duo fibre / stippling brush, that it doesn't apply a blusher too densely. Sometimes if your blusher is a little bit fair, you will have to go in with a few layers with this brush. I find it fits the cheek very nicely in this area, and you can get right onto the apples of your cheek because it kind of tapers, that you're not having like a whole brush sat all over this area of your face. You can get nicely onto the apples of your cheek and bring it all the way back into your bronzer. This brush from Real Techniques is perfect for blusher. Actually, 3 of these brushes are Real Techniques. So the final brush is for highlighting. Obviously I couldn't miss off a highlighter brush. So a lot of people have been loving a fan brush, but ever since I got this brush I have been in love with it. So it's the Real Techniques Bold Metals brush, again a rose gold one, and this is the number 300. Don't know what it's typically said to be used for. I think it might be blusher, but I find that it sits on the top of my cheekbone so nicely and all the way around here. Yeah, it's just somehow perfect for highlighting with, and it also is quite flexible but firm at the same time, and it's a quite dense brush, so you can pack on that highlighter quite heavily if you're using this brush. So I am in love with this brush for highlighter. So those are all 5 of my favourite brushes. So we have the Real Techniques 301 brush that I use for foundation. We have the Morphe M438 brush that I use to set under my eyes. We have the Vintage Cosmetic Company blusher brush that I use for bronzer. And this Real Techniques brush that I'm in love with for blusher, it's a duo fibre brush. And then the Real Techniques 300 Bold Metals brush that I am in love with for highlighting. So that's basically all I have to say about these brushes. Love them all, use them all on a daily basis. And next week I'm going to be doing a top 5 eye makeup brushes, so stay tuned for that on my channel. And if this video was helpful, please give it a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more of my videos then please subscribe to my channel, and hopefully I'll see you guys in my next video.